All right. We are live. It's been a minute. I know it's been a minute, but I hope y'all been enjoying the content that I've been posting up on the channel. I've been trying to be like ultra consistent. But yeah, man. Yeah, we live. We live right now. Couple things I want to touch on. Definitely a couple things I'm going to touch on. Make sure y'all hit that like button when y'all come in. And we're going to get this thing started. So, for those of y'all that don't know, as of late, there's been a lot of chaos going on in some of these metropolitan cities. LA, Chicago, where I'm at here in Philly, New York. And it's like the teenagers, they really starting to take to the streets. And you got big corporations like Walmart, Target, so forth and so on, claiming that they want to leave these cities and start over somewhere else. I know recently here in Philly, they shut down a few Starbucks. They shut down a few Wawas, 24-hour convenience stores, because of the violence that's going on within these inner cities. So right now, we got a situation like here in Chicago where apparently they're looting a bunch of Walmarts, just tearing the city up. They call it the teenager takeover in the city. I'm going to play this clip real fast of their local news, and I'm going to come right back with some commentary.
Claim there about Mayor-elect Brandon Johnson and what happened. Critics are asking questions.
After the weekend, who is in charge is what they want to know. Mike Flannery asked that question ahead, coming up at 9:20.
So obviously, there's a lot of concerns from the hospitality industry, especially the restaurants along Michigan Avenue.
Chicago's multi-billion-dollar hospitality industry raising red flags about the teen chaos in downtown Chicago.
They say people need to feel safe coming into the city and are pushing police and incoming Mayor Brandon Johnson to put together a better game plan.
Dane Placco reports on how the teen takeover impacted one legendary Chicago business.
Lock the doors. We have security here, so we shut down.
90 years on Wabash, but on Saturday night, the iconic restaurant was forced to close 3 hours early and escort customers to their cars as groups of teens took over parts of downtown Chicago.
We feel like that doesn't bode well for the summer, and you know, gets me worrying. We thought things were on the up and up, and something like this happens, and you feel like.
All right, first and foremost, right? The city of Chicago been under some real questionable leadership as of late. They've been under a lot of weird, questionable leadership, right? And now some of those bad seeds that's been planted and actually been indoctrinated in that city is really starting to show out now. I mean, all the gang violence, all of the drill music, everything is really starting to manifest into the city's worst nightmare. The police brutality, everything. It's really not safe out there for nobody right now. And you got a lot of these businesses, like I said, they trying to get up out of there. But after watching something like this go on, I kind of understand what 2020 was about. Let's finish this video. I'm going to get back into that.
Knocked right back down a little bit.
Hotels, bars, and restaurants that depend on tourism and conventions to make or break their business say what happened last weekend cannot happen again.
As we move into the summer months, we know that it could get worse. So we really need, people that are in authority to actually do their job.
Sam Toya of the Illinois Restaurant Association says they've already had discussions with incoming Mayor Brandon Johnson about the importance of securing the downtown area, the city's economic engine.
People are now paying attention, and we don't expect that an incident like this to happen again this summer.
The Chicago Loop Alliance is reviving its ambassador program, in which unarmed ambassadors in uniform will patrol streets in the Loop, go into stores, and attempt to identify and de-escalate situations that could lead to trouble.
It is not.
Man, you know they're not about to do all that. They said they got some unarmed ambassadors. They got to be some brave souls, because we seeing these young teenagers go out there 10, 15 deep. Even if you got a 2 or 3 man team, you're not going in there about to challenge them young warriors. You're not about to do that. You might call for backup. You might give the local businesses some sense of security. But trust me, those unarmed ambassadors, they really not going to be doing much for these businesses besides be some sort of like camouflage for some sort of security. We just seen here in Philly 2 bike cops watch the college student down in the Temple University area just get jumped and did nothing. It was actually other female students that actually had to intervene to make sure that that man didn't get hurt worse than he already was.
It's not an everyday experience, but we take these incidents very seriously, and we're really committed to working with the relevant partner organizations in the city and the CPD to work on a comprehensive approach for making sure that these things don't happen again.
And they say that the timing couldn't be worse, just as bars, restaurants, and hotels are beginning to crawl out of a giant hole caused by the pandemic and the economy.
We don't want diners or tourists to feel uncomfortable coming to Chicago.
And everyone we talked to said they welcome the teens downtown, but as customers, not to create chaos. Dane Placco, Fox 32 Chicago.
As I'm in the midst of applying for residency right now, wish me luck, Grammarly has again been a lifesaver with.
All right, so again, man, the local businesses now is starting to realize that they can no longer operate in a safe manner in some of these metropolitan cities, especially Chicago. Now, again, I want to go back to the 2020 situation. And it's ironic because I could recall a time ago where me and my wife, we was at like a Little Caesars pizzeria. It was about like 6 or 7 other customers in there. And a group of teens walked in, fully masked up. I mean, it was a little cold outside, but it wasn't like freezing. They come in with the skellies on, the hoods over their head, and a full mask on their face. And everybody thought it was normal. You see, once you accept something, it becomes normal. We accepted the fact that people walked around covering their faces. Now, before 2020, there's no way possible that a group of people could walk anywhere fully masked up. I mean, just completely in disguise and everybody not feel uncomfortable. I want y'all to really think about that. 2019, 2018, 2017, you seen something like that, you was getting up out of there. But even here in 2023, they make it normal. They make it normal. And yo, it's really getting crazy. It's really getting crazy to the point where for real, they really at the advantage. Like they got this thing to where you can't question nothing like that. Like, yo, why you walking around with a mask on your face? Why you got a hood on? You know, it's been accepted and it's been normalized. But we're gonna go over here to Philly, my hometown, because again, I'm starting to see a lot of changes throughout the country when it comes to these local businesses and how they really trying to get up out of here. They really trying to get up out of here, and I'm gonna keep it a buck with y'all. We about to see some real like biblical times, man. It's getting crazy, but let's go ahead and play this video.
fashion district after some recent incidents involving kids. And starting tomorrow, anyone under the age of 18 who enters the fashion district after 2 p.m. needs to be accompanied by an adult age 23 or older. And Ellen, the city...
Mind you, 2 p.m. is like in the middle of the day. School in Philly usually let out around like 2:45, anywhere between 2:45, 3:30, and 4 o'clock. So anytime before 2 p.m. is pretty much school hours during the week, but they're implementing a chauffeur for anybody under the age of 18 to be in the fashion district, formerly known as the Gallery.
City says is trying to prevent any kind of chaos there.
That's right, Jason. So many people have been concerned about what's going on here. So as you said, some big changes are coming starting tomorrow at 2 o'clock. And a lot of shoppers we talk to say it's about time.
It is actually very sad. It makes it very unsafe for shoppers and everyone here.
Kenna McLennan works right by the fashion district. And after last Wednesday's flash mob where hundreds of teens turned out and a police officer was injured, she's even more cautious than ever.
It's like swarms of them outside. Last Sunday, they were all up and down the blocks, just standing on the wall, just kind of waiting for something to go down. And that made me feel unsafe. So that's why I went home immediately.
And now she's more than happy to hear that new restrictions start Monday, including anybody under 18 must be with someone over 23 to get into the mall after 2 p.m.
A lot of these kids are out of control and it's just getting out of hand now. People are getting hurt and you can't even come down and shop no more.
Whoa, y'all hear that? Y'all hear that, right? They said you got to be accompanied by somebody over the age of 23. Now, you could be 18 and get a pack of cigarettes. You could be 21, get in a club, have a drink, go into the state store. But just to go shopping, you got to be over the age of 23 or with somebody over the age of 23. That's how crazy it is, yo. That's how crazy it is out here in these streets where you got businesses. This is a little strip mall with various different businesses inside of it. And I'm pretty sure they was all in agreement with this new rule change. Now, again, I don't think it's a law because it makes no sense. Like I said, you could be 18 and 21 and do certain things. But now they're saying that you have to be accompanied by an adult just to go shopping after a certain time. I get it. You know, people got businesses and their business is their livelihood. But at the end of the day, when we start doing all this, we don't have enough police officers. We don't have enough law enforcement downtown Philadelphia for them to really secure that premise, for them to really regulate and enforce the law. Where's our tax dollars going?
War and peace. You got to worry about getting hurt and different things, and it's not peaceful down here anymore.
They ruin it for us. I need my medicine. She needs hers. Everybody needs their medicine, but you know what I mean? They don't care.
In fact, we saw some kids acting up and getting kicked out by security while we were getting reaction. Something some shoppers say shows exactly why the new rules are needed.
Where's mom and dad at?
Others say the city needs to step
Yo,
up.
I know y'all saw that, right? I know y'all saw that, right? You got people behind him dancing. They just acting a fool out here, man. Look at this.
Others say the city needs to step up and
Hold on. Let's look at this.
why the new rules are needed.
Where's mom and dad at?
Look at that. Look at that. They had it. It's crazy because the news people actually had enough dignity to block out their faces. But yeah, nobody's taking this serious anymore. Nobody's taking this country, this world serious no more. And I really wonder why. I really wonder why, man. But I could throw out a couple of suggestions, a couple of things that I speculate, but it's really a combination of things, to be honest with y'all. It's truly a combination of things. And I think first and foremost is the fact that this new generation, you can't lie and deceive them like we were back in the day. See, back in the day, we could tell, we got told all the little white lies, like the Tooth Fairy, Santa Claus. Does that even work anymore? You know, you better watch out. You better not cry. You better not pout. I'm telling you why. Santa Claus is coming. You can't get that past this generation. You cannot get it past this generation. They really made up a lie just to have you acting like a civilized human being throughout the year with a fat dude coming down your chimney giving you Christmas presents. And for the longest, some kids actually believed that. Some kids was actually shocked by having $1 underneath their pillow if they lost a tooth. This generation, you don't get that. You're not getting that off. You're not getting nothing like that off, man. And the young kids out here, they're seeing what a lot of us probably like in my age bracket, like 35 and over, they starting to really see what we're just starting to see. Because up until I was about like what, 26, 27, I was naive. I was really blinded by all of the lies, all of the manipulation. I didn't think that this whole thing was designed for so many people. It almost felt like we're being experimented with. You know what I'm saying? And I really didn't start like really thinking about things until after 2001. Probably around like September 2001. And I really started questioning things after that. But these kids is questioning everything. And what you got a whole generation of people that they're just ready to buck the system. They don't see any light at the end of the tunnel when it comes to what we used to know as the American dream. How many of these children got parents that went to school for, 2 to 4, even 4 to 8 years, and they're just getting by? You would think someone who's making 6 figures plus a year would be able to live a life of luxury. But you quick to realize that it's only 1% of this country that really gets to live like that. Everyone else is really out here working. And for the most part, they out here just surviving. They're not really even living. They really just surviving.
Say the city needs to step up and give these young people somewhere to go to get them off the streets.
The children need a place safe for them to be children. They're children. We all learned. We all had to learn. It was a learning process.
These kids, they don't want to do nothing anyway. So that's why there's no more rec centers and stuff like that, because they won't go in anyway.
What are them kids going to do if they can't go in here?
Now, we had rec centers growing up. We had little like the police athletic league. We had a lot of things. We had our block. We had kids outside either playing basketball, hopscotch, double dutch. They riding scooters, they riding bikes. We had our own neighborhood if we wanted to enjoy ourselves outside. You go outside right now, you don't really see nobody outside playing. You can go in any neighborhood here in Philly, South Philly, North Philly, West Philly. The millisecond it get hot, you'll see a fire hydrant on and a bunch of kids playing in the water. You barely see that now. And I often wonder, all those police officers that used to come through with the big water wrench and shut the fire hydrant down. How many of those officers that probably been on the force for a few decades, how many of them would love to have that type of environment back? Where all they had to do was allow these kids to just play in the water. They will probably see that and be rejoiced, because they know that's less kids running around out here doing weird stuff like looting and destroying property. They probably look at that as the glory days, like, man, remember we used to just ride around and turn off the fire. That was all the action we had. Then again, you got some cowboys on the police force, man. They love the action. They can't wait to kick down somebody's door and violate somebody's rights. You got a lot of those police officers out here, but for the most part, like anything, being a police officer is turned into a job. It's turned into a job. People really wanted to make a change in their community. They wanted to keep the streets safe for people. But now they even question, is it worth it? They getting micromanaged with body cams on their body. People, anytime there's some type of police interaction, somebody got a camera out. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but what I'm saying is that, yeah, it's not like the good old days. I tell these kids all the time, y'all don't know how lucky y'all got it, man. At the same time, I think this generation is doomed for some dark days. But at the end of the day, man, y'all actually got body cams on y'all police. Man, growing up in the 90s, early 2000s, like police really don't mess with me no more. You know, I'm not really in the mix like that. I'm not ripping and running the streets, doing wild stuff. But man, when I was in the mix, man, those police got away with everything. They got away with everything, man. It was their story, your word against theirs. You know how many police officers I watch get on the stand and lie? Just get up there and tell blatant lies. They didn't care. Who was going to question them? Who was going to investigate them? They got away with everything. And it's crazy because now, today, I'll scroll through YouTube, I'll scroll through TikTok. I see all these videos where police officers is just violating people's rights. You know, it was pretty much normal for them to walk up and say, yo, you got to identify yourself. But in today's world, they'll get a full rundown of the Constitution. Like, what? You're breaking my Fourth Amendment right. Like, whoa. Whoa. Who you talking to? Like, you know what I'm saying? Imagine being a cop on the force since, I don't know, the mid-90s. What's that? You got about like over 20 years in. There's officers that got that much time, and they probably moved up to detective or something. But just imagine a police officer from the 90s that watched this whole thing transition and manifest into what it is today. In the 90s, you wasn't talking back to the police like they doing today. Most of the people didn't even know their constitutional rights or they Fourth, Fifth, First, Second. They didn't know their amendment rights. Because the police back in the 90s and early 2000s, they wasn't going by the Constitution. Yeah, they took an oath. They took an oath to uphold and protect the Constitution, but They wasn't living about that. They wasn't living about that. Come on, man. Shit, according to the Constitution, my kind didn't even have those many rights. You know what I'm saying? When the Constitution was written up, we didn't really even have those rights. So yeah, they dealing with a whole different animal nowadays. They dealing with a whole different animal.
Hang out here on the street, it's gonna be just as bad.
So we're told that the kids will have to show ID to get in here tomorrow, again, starting at 2 o'clock. It's not clear, though, whether they will have to show ID to use SEPTA here at the Fashion District. We reached out to SEPTA to get a comment, but we have not heard back. We're live in Center City. Ellen Kaloje, Fox 29 News. Jason.
Man, yeah, and this is all going on in my city right now, man. All going on in my city right now. They got a curfew for the gallery. I would have never imagined, man. I would have never imagined a world where a big corporation like Walmart, all of a sudden want to leave all that money behind in a big city like Chicago. That type of behavior don't happen, man. We don't get that kind of action. We don't get that kind of action where a whole motherfucking corporation like Walmart would just want to up and leave. But I'm telling you right now, man, things are really starting to go in a certain direction. Really starting to go in a certain direction. Let's see what this is talking about.
As Alderman of the 29th Ward and former Chicago police officer Chris Taliaferro. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Ms. June. I appreciate it.
Now, we know that you are on the Public Safety Committee. What is the first thing you're going to do in terms of addressing that video that we just saw?
Well, I think it's important for us as a city council to sit down and discuss how our officers will be deployed this summer. But more important, how can we as a city engage our young men and young women throughout the city to make sure that they are engaged in safe practices this summer and safe activities, providing a safe environment for them, and also how the city can better invest in jobs for our young men and women.
Mind you, it's only April. It really hasn't even gotten hot yet. Like, can y'all imagine how this thing is going to be come June, July, August, when it really start getting hot out here? Like, you're going to have these dudes going bananas, man. You're going to have these people going straight bananas. And, man, it just is what it is, yo. Like, we're actually being prepared. It's like we're being prepared for, you know, the absolute worst. It's only going to get worse from here on out. It's not going to get any better.
Alderman, ideally, this is obviously something that we got to get in front of right away. The summer's right around the corner. There's days that we're having warm weekends. What measures can actually be put in place now? Not something that can be put in place down the road, but right now to address this issue.
Well, I think Tia, is very critical that first of all, to ensure that our residents that live downtown and our business owners that are serving the city located downtown, we have to make sure that it's safe. And I think we need to step up our police presence to ensure that we do have an adequate amount of police present on the scene to try to prevent large groups from gathering. And but I can't stress enough the importance of providing opportunities for our young adults so don't have to go downtown in mass groups and create the violence that they did over this past weekend.
Now, before you were on the city council, you were a police sergeant. What resources does actually the Chicago Police Department offer in terms of helping our youth in the city of Chicago?
Well, I think it's more so not with the Chicago Police Department, whose sole practice is for law enforcement, but the city. We have already started our application process for One Summer Chicago, whereby the city will be hiring over 20,000, almost 21,000 youth over the summer.
That's another thing too. So a few years ago, they had this defund the police movement. It's almost, you know, like, I believe in predictive programming. I believe that we've been shown things, not just in Hollywood, but also in television, where they actually condition the public for what's to come. And this is starting to look like the Dark Knight in Gotham City. All of these major, like, metropolitan cities, like, you got these small communities throughout, you know, America, especially in the Midwest, where they really don't go through nothing like this. But when you start to talk about cities like New York, Philly, LA, Chicago, even Detroit, man, you see leadership at the top. Like, you got your black city councilmen, your black judges, your black police officers, your black police commissioners, and the whole entire city is just under just sick and crazy. Like, how could I raise kids in an environment like that? You know what I'm saying? And trust me, I'm from the streets. But man, listen, at the age I'm at, 40, I can't even believe some of the stuff that's going on right now.
We have several activities that are where our youth can currently engage in at youth centers throughout the city as well. So it's going to be very important to get those young men and women engaged in activities that are safe. I've had an opportunity to speak with Mayor-elect Johnson's team, and they're very much committed to ensure that our young adults have a safe place where they can actually gather in the summer and providing jobs, investing in jobs for our young men and women as well.
You mentioned Mayor-elect Brandon Johnson, so let's stay right there. He actually said in response to all of this, it is not constructive to demonize youth who have otherwise been starved of opportunities. Do you agree with that statement?
I agree with Mayor Johnson, Mayor-elect Johnson. I don't want our young men and women to be demonized because of this past week's activity. But if we can provide opportunities for them, many of them, and I'm not going to say all of them.
Like, how long have we been talking about this? Provide more opportunity, give them something to do. Maybe they wouldn't be this way if they were doing this, that, and the third. But we've been singing that same tune for like 20 years. We're really starting to see the end result of the miseducation in the public school systems. You know what I'm saying? Like, for whatever reason, the teachers can no longer keep the kids occupied. I mean, you even got people in the school system where you hear these stories about the teachers having these like inappropriate relationships with the kids. I'm not going to hold y'all. I start thinking like, man, is that the only way they can get the kids to pay attention? You know what I'm saying? Like, man, it's just getting that crazy out here. And to think that the only solution or the only answers that they could come up with is, well, we got to give these kids something to do. Like, when you start to see these type of organized, because that's what it was. It was called the teen takeover in Chicago. And allegedly, these kids got organized via social media. They organize these flash mob events on social media, and they go out and they just cause havoc. They just cause wreck. They figure, hey, they ain't gonna lock us all up, right?
All of them, but many of them will choose to do what's right and engage in activities that are much safer for themselves and for the residents of this city.
We sure hope that is the case. Alderman Taliaferro, thank you so much for joining us today on First at 4.
And thank you, Ms. Ewan. I appreciate you guys.
I mean, they talk a good game. They out here talking. They out here talking, and they acting like they trying to get a hold of the situation before it get any more ugly than what it already is. But man, I'm telling you, bro, it is not gonna work if we just keep feeding them the same BS that we think that they want to hear. It's just not going to happen. It's not. Hold on, having some technical difficulties here. Apparently, they don't want me to show certain videos. I mean, I get it. It's crazy, man. Like, and as a parent, right? Because I want to take some sort of accountability. I want to definitely educate myself on what's going on in the world and share the information with the kids that I'm raising. Hold on. But it's a struggle, man. It is a struggle trying to keep the people, well, not the people, but, keep my kids away from the nonsense that's going on right outside of their window. It's really a struggle. Yo, you see that right there? Oh, you know what? My fault, y'all. I thought I was. Let me rewind this real quick.
Members of the NYPD assigned to protect them.
We have some newly released video tweeted out by the Police Benevolent Association. It shows a 16-year-old boy here brutally beating officers after they confronted him for allegedly jumping a turnstile. The suspect was arrested, but was back on the street in less than 24 hours. Fox News' Briella Thomas said he has more from Times Square. Briella, what's it?
Man, that young man was putting in work with that police. You see, the girl jumped in too. He's 16 years old. He's fighting a trained police officer in the subway, probably over a $3-4 fare just to get on the train. When I tell you these young cats, they're not playing out here no more. Man, I've been around some of the most biggest shit talking motherfuckers you will ever meet in life. And I watched everyone fold when them police rolled up. But these kids nowadays, yeah, they bout it. I was telling my son the other day, the difference between this generation of rap and the generation I grew up in, for the most part, they really rapping what they doing out here. That whole drill music scene, they rapping about the person that they killed, and man, they just going on and on. It's really not a game out here. It's really not. But we starting to see the change that's coming over our people.
What's the very latest on this?
Yeah, Bianca and Rosanna, good morning to the both of you ladies. And that's why it's not really surprising to hear that in the MTA's June customer survey, improve customer satisfaction. Now, after the COVID-19 pandemic, 1 in 3 strap hangers stopped commuting full time altogether, whether it be for crime or for other reasons.
Every once in a while, we have reports of pretty much someone being shot, someone being stabbed, pushed on the train tracks.
Subway ridership is finally rebounding in the city's push to return to normalcy, but according to commuters and cops, so is crime. This viral video posted to the Police Benevolent Association's Twitter page shows a 16-year-old boy grappling with an officer who allegedly confronted him for jumping a turnstile at the 125th Street Lexington Avenue station in East Harlem. The teen, who police say was previously arrested for possession of a loaded gun and robbery, was briefly taken into custody and released the very next day.
It is getting a little crazy down there.
And over the weekend, police say an intoxicated man harassing passengers at the Sterling Street station in Prospect Lefferts Gardens was stabbed after getting into an altercation with another man. The response seen here on this Citizen app video. That man was taken to Kings County Hospital in stable condition, but the suspect, seen here in a black shirt, gold chain, and camouflage pants, got away.
Is able, if there are funds within the city, to have a police officer in each car, maybe that would help bring some sense of safety.
See, that costs too much money for the city right there. If you're going to have a cop for every train car, there's what, 10 train cars? About 4 trains running? Talking about 40 officers that you're taking off the streets and you just putting them in the transit system. It's too much money for that. Too much money is going to cost the taxpayers to really enforce something like that. But again, you know, the secret behind all this is that crime pays. There's definitely a cabal of people out there that needs crime to happen, unfortunately. You know, the prison systems, the lawyers, the judges. How are they going to actually get paid if the crime is at a low rate? But you'll never get that part of the game on the news. You would never get that part of the game on the news. And some people wonder, well, why is this DA doing this? Or these Democratic ran cities with these such and such ran district attorneys, how are they allowing this crime to go on in these cities? Well, it's a kickback to that. It's money in that. People really don't want to follow the money, because when you follow the money, you're going to find yourself in a deep rabbit hole. You're going to find yourself in a deep... Listen, I did a story one time, a long time ago, about Cash for Kids. It was a kickback scheme that was going on with a local judge in the juvenile court system. It was all true. Apparently, he got millions of dollars for making sure a juvenile facility bed was just being filled to the brim. But again, you're not going to get that kind of gain on your local news, because that's the forbidden knowledge.
Commuters' concerns about safety were on the agenda at the MTA's monthly board meeting yesterday morning. Board member David Mack asked the following question to Chief Safety Officer Pat Warren.
What have you done as the Chief Safety Officer to encourage more MTA police officers?
To which Warren responded,
We have seen growth over the last several years, particularly coming out of the pandemic, of several hundred officers just in the last, since January.
Riders say they're also worried about homelessness underground. The MTA conducted a survey last month which found 1 in 5 people would ride the subway more often if fewer people were acting, quote, erratically.
There's a lot of homelessness that's really relevant now, and it's every day, all day in the trains.
The overnight period going into the morning rush hour is when the most people are observed sheltering in the subways. The end of line program represents a significant effort by the MTA, city, and state to put a robust joint team of professionals at key end-of-line stations where analysis shows we have the highest concentration of those needing services.
Now, the NYPD says assaults on officers this year have skyrocketed by an astounding 55%. The majority of those assaults happening as a result of fare evasion, like you saw in that video we just aired, or due to other quality of life violations.
Man, like, they fighting back. They are fighting back, man. And a part of me is refreshed to see people actually stand up for themselves. But there's also a part of me that knows that, man, this is not going to end well at all. It's not going to end well at all. Because for the longest time, the police actually been, this type of behavior has really been normalized in today's society. We don't know it, but it really has. But like I said earlier, man, in this day and age, police actually have to have a body cam on. And it's really in your best interest to actually record them if you ever encounter them. Because a lot of these police officers don't know the law. When they arrest people, it's not for any lawful reasons. It's not. Like I said earlier, you got kids walking around fully in disguise. They got a mask on, they got a hood on, and they're just walking around incognito. But I remember back in the day, I would get stopped, frisked, profiled if I was walking with somebody that looked out of place. But we've actually normalized the face covering. We've normalized the art of disguise since 2020. And I mean, this is, like I said, it's a collection of different things that's going on that got things the way that it is right now. And trust me, y'all, it's not going to get any better. It's really not. Look, man, I've been on here almost an hour. Let me check the chat. I haven't been in the chat much. Okay, I see my man Patolo 45 in the building. What's going on, bro? He said policy is not law. No, policy isn't law, man. Unfortunately, there's a lot of things in this country that they don't actually go by the law with a lot of stuff. And I never thought I'll see a day where the policy actually trumps the law. What do you say? Computer chemtrails and the diet has changed our brains. Yeah, but has it changed our brains in a good or a bad way? Because people weren't thinking like this. I was just telling somebody a few days ago, I felt a lot more at peace when I didn't know the truth. Now that I know the truth about a lot of things, it's kind of made me like, I know what's really going on here. And it's like a gift and a curse. Always from police, name and badge numbers. Yeah, you got people out here, man. People are really starting to sharpen up on their rights. And when I know if you're a cop and you go up on the scene, the first thing they say is, yo, what's your name and badge number? You already know what's about to happen. But the funny thing is this, right? A lot of these police officers need to sharpen up on studying the law themselves. If they're going to be the ones enforcing it and upholding it, yeah, they should know the law. They should know the law better than any of us out here. They should know all the loopholes, everything that they got the right to do and things that they ain't got the right to do. But again, they've been running around here for the longest time with a license to practically do what they want. And now all of a sudden, yeah, people are starting to wake up. People are starting to question, like, yo, what you doing over there? What you doing? But that's definitely a good thing to build on. Like, since we are changing and since we are starting to really awaken and really see things for what it is it a good thing or a bad thing? And I think I want to touch on that in another show. But I'm gonna get on out of here, y'all. I appreciate everybody that came through. Stay tuned for the content, man. Subscribe to the channel, like the live, share the live. Follow me on TikTok also. TC Trap Talk TV. I'm also here on YouTube. Follow me, man. Follow me. I'm dropping excellent content almost every day. And I think I'm going to be doing some more live streams and touching different topics and sharing different stories. You know, I think there's definitely a need for that. We're going to always cover the streets. I'm trying to show y'all different angles of it. You know, I started off with the local celebrities here in the city of Philadelphia and move over to the biker gang. We're going to be doing some mob talk. We also going to start going into the political game. There's been a lot of politicians that's been arrested here in the city of Philadelphia and across this country. So trust me, I got an endless amount of content to drop, and y'all just got to stay tuned, man. Subscribe to the channel, like the videos, share the videos, and yeah, let's watch this thing grow. I'm gonna head on out of here, y'all. Everybody have a blessed night. Have a blessed weekend, and make sure y'all tune in next time. I'm out of here.